I remember seeing people change their mind on abortion. I thought, wow, like we can actually have an impact. And so just that whole like beginning of the internship and the whole internship in itself was really impactful for me.
Hi folks, and welcome to Humans of the Pro-Life Movement, an initiative of the Pro-Life Guys podcast where we explore the lives of the defenders of the defenseless. We highlight the incredible women and men across the country and around the world who are making sacrifices to defend the weakest and most vulnerable members of the human family. And today, I'm joined by a good friend of mine, Rachel Miclat. Rachel, how are you doing?
Hey Cam, I'm doing really good, thanks.
Good. And who's joining you today?
This is Isabelle, my daughter. Say hi. Isabelle's 10 months old.
Congratulations. Hi, Isabelle. I hope that you're doing well.
Hi.
My daughter responds very similarly in that she doesn't respond to many of my requests for her engagement. There's a wave. Hi, Isabelle. Well, this Humans of the Pro-Life Movement, the first thing we love to do is just get a little bit of a background on the person that we're talking to, kind of demonstrating that they're somewhat of a normal person, or that pro-life work isn't just what they eat, sleep, and breathe kind of thing. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Rachel.
Yeah. So I'm married. I got married about 2 years ago, and Isabelle is our first child. And she's 10 months old now, so it keeps me running around. She's just learned to walk. So she's a busy baby. But I consider myself a pretty normal person. I love outdoors, hiking, that sort of thing. And what else? No, I grew up in a small town in Hornpain. That's something that, people that know me well we love to joke about, just make small town banter back and forth. But yeah, that's me.
Very cool. I have learned more about Hornpain than I ever thought that I would learn. One day we're going to take a big staff trip there and descend upon Hornpain and do a big conference or something, and all load up at the chip stand. But
awesome.
Cool. So this is cool. And so going from there, you growing up in a small town in arguably Northern Ontario. I don't know if you would characterize it as Northern Ontario growing up there, but certainly anyone from Toronto would characterize it as Northern Toronto. Tell me a little bit about your journey from Hornpain, Ontario to where you are now, being involved in the pro-life movement. What did that look like for you?
Yeah, so I was always very pro-life. It was never really something that I had to question, like, is abortion right or wrong? That was just one of my really firmly held beliefs. And of course that developed as I learned more about abortion. I guess as I learned more, I became more passionate. And even in high school, I would be giving presentations about it when we had the opportunity. And then from there, I spent a year with Net Ministries, a Catholic youth ministry, and that's where, for the first time, I met Stephanie Gray, who introduced me to CCBR. She gave a presentation on apologetics and how to defend the pro-life cause, and that really, you can use those tactics in so many areas of life, but that's where I really first learned about CCBR, and she shared about the opportunity to do an internship, and that was something that I just felt really called to at the time, and so I went for it, and that's how I got involved.
Very cool. One of our only ever 10-month, highly extensive activism and training interns at CCBR. Really cool getting to know you then. And so that was really cool. I believe that was in 2014, 2015. And then from there, you came on full-time staff with CCBR. And he spent several years working full-time in the pro-life movement before taking the next wonderful leap into motherhood, full-time motherhood, looking after your beautiful
Yeah.
daughter. Tell me maybe one or two prominent memories that you have while working in the pro-life movement, or maybe even during your internship, just something that stands out as being really memorable while being within the pro-life movement, I guess.
Yeah. Well, when I first started the internship, I was really amazed because, that was the first time where I'd actually seen like pro-life activism happening on the streets, and I was actually part of it. So, for me, that was so encouraging and really encouraged me to stay committed to the pro-life cause. I remember seeing people change their mind on abortion. I thought, wow, like we can actually have an impact. And so just that whole like beginning of the internship and the whole internship in itself was really impactful for me. Just seeing people actually change their mind. And then I guess like a specific memory that stands out for me is going to GAP, the Genocide Awareness Project in Florida, and just I remember standing there. We have like our huge display, and there's so many like volunteers out there, and everyone that's walking by, like there's like it's on a huge university campus, and there's so many people going by, and every single person is like being encountered with the pro-life message, whether that's like with the signs or like all these volunteers. And for me, that was like really inspiring and just awesome to see how big of an impact we were making in just, the 8 or 10 hours that we were there.
Mm-hmm. Our Florida mission trips are a highlight for so many people who get involved in Canada's pro-life movement. And there's people who join us from around the world as well. You can find out more about those mission trips on our website, endthekilling.ca. And so bearing all of that in mind, Rachel, one thing that you did while working at CCBR was that you developed a program, a church outreach video series, something that we now rely on very heavily for getting more and more people involved in the pro-life movement. We've had dozens of different communities across the country take on this 5-part video series. And a large part of why we developed this video series was to get more people involved in the pro-life movement. And that's something that we have a deep heart for at the Pro-Life Guys podcast as well. And that's one of the goals of this Humans of the Pro-Life Movement, seeing what different people would say to encourage others to get involved in the movement. And I'm curious, if you met somebody, maybe a neighbor or a friend that you run into at the playground or something, and they say, oh, I've always wanted to get involved in the pro-life movement, but I've never made it a priority. What would you say to them to try to encourage them and empower them to get involved, to make a difference in this important abortion issue?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, I think, the first thing would be to remind them that, like, about what's really going on here in terms of abortion and just the reality of abortion in our country. But also encourage them that, like, it probably seems really overwhelming at first, like getting involved or like intimidating, but like you don't have to be in this alone. And there's different ways of getting involved. So I think just encouraging them to maybe they can commit to like 1 hour a week or 1 hour a month of doing something that fits within your lifestyle. I know for me, like I can't go and do choice chain, 3 times a week anymore. I have a crazy little child to take care of, but like we've tried to get involved with 40 Days for Life here a little bit, but I think I would really encourage them to take that first step outside of their comfort zone, try and do that with a community of supportive people, and just really maybe push through the first 1 or 2 times. And for me anyway, after the first few times, you really develop like a fire to keep going and you really see impact. So I guess that's the advice I give to someone who's just looking to get started in the pro-life movement.
Mm-hmm. And what a great bit of advice there. Just going on a time or two to get your feet wet and see what it's like. It's not a matter necessarily of the first step that you take is quitting your day job and applying to work full time in the movement or anything like that. But just going out there and witnessing to the cause of life, showing the reality of abortion. At CCBR, we always want to partner with people when they come out. You get a lot of training before you ever end up on a street corner on a doorstep. You're able to listen to our conversations and really get a lot of mentorship. And so I'm glad that you mentioned that. And I'm glad that you're able to join us today. I think it's so cool to see you and your beautiful daughter. And I deeply appreciate all of the work that you've done for the pro-life movement and how you continue to get involved during different seasons of life. That, like you said, there may have been a time when you could come out daily to do pro-life outreach, and you're in a different season of life now. And so I think that's important for people who may not be in that situation, might not be a university student and able to fly off to a different part of the country for a 4-month internship or something, but they can do something meaningful in their local community. So I think it's a great point. In conclusion, this is Humans of the Pro-Life Movement. This is an episode done to highlight an incredible defender of preborn children, somebody who is making sacrifices to do what she can to end the injustice of abortion in Canada and make it unthinkable around the world. So thank you, Rachel, for joining. This is great. I love being able to connect with different people in the movement. Thank you, Isabelle, for being a wonderful participant as well.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Cam. It was great to see you.
And for those of you tuning in, I want to encourage you not only to check out the other episodes of Humans of the Pro-Life Movement, but also to consider checking out the other content that the Pro-Life Guys podcast puts out. You can find us on our website, prolifeguys.com. You can find our podcast on any of your favorite podcast catchers, whether it's Spotify or Apple Podcast or something that I've never heard of. You can find us anywhere. Also, check out our monthly episodes of The Pulse, which feature all of the important and interesting news from around the world. If you want to learn more about our church video series, check out the show notes below. You can find out how you can bring that to your home community. And I hope that you're able to tune in next time. Thanks so much, and have a great rest of your day wherever you are.